Welcome to the first episode of the Addams Family, presented to you on The Sims 4, brought to you by Chronicles of Earth 9. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. This first 3 minutes here are testing strips. Today's episode was produced using Power Director 14. The running time of this video is 59 minutes long, roughly. And I laid out a table of contents below in the description, so if you want to quickly advance through all the chapter headings, that feature is enabled with this video. It's been a while since we recorded a video. It's been about 10 to 12 days since we edited a video. But this is going to be sort of a series within a series. It's all part of the Chronicles of Earth 9, but it's going to be primarily focused on the Addams family. They exist in the same world as all our Sims 4 Chronicles of Earth 9 characters, and then we made these characters Chronicles of Earth 9. And the idea of this video here is to we're starting with the meat and bones. This is the very beginning. We have Morticia. I didn't record the character generation part, but this is where they just logged in right here. And the bare bones version of the manor as it appeared in the television show. Now we're not at that point yet. We have to make that part, so we're starting basically. This will be Morticia and Gomez, and they are starting out as newlyweds basically, and they have very little money, and we have to slowly bring in the rest of the cast member. We're going to bring in like Lurch first. Then we're going to bring in Fester, and then we'll bring in Grandmama, and then as we get further in, as they get well-to-do, then we'll introduce Pugsley, and then Wednesday, and then all the other side characters that came along in this serial. But that's many months away, and coming up on where the first 3 minutes ends, and we were making sure all the audio worked correctly. It's been 2-3 weeks since we actually did this, so let's make sure all the audio functioned correctly. I've been using the Screaming Bee voice changing software for some of the voiceover works that we're doing basically as a guide track. So later on, when we bring in real actors, they'll have a better sense if the person who wrote the story is actually describing the dialogue as it was written, as it was intended. Anyway, here we go. We recorded about 6 hours of video in this first episode. This is going to be a 6-parter at a minimum. And I try to make every episode about 59 minutes long. Here's Gomez, and here's Morticia. I made them that area over there was the master bedroom, and I made it his and her bath right now. So Morticia's on one side. Hers is the one that's closest to the door to the bedroom, and Gomez's bathroom is the one furthest away. But there's 2 ways to get to the bathroom. So later on, when we add the second and third story to the house, and then the basement, the master bedroom will no longer be located there. We'll have to change it. But right now, this is how the manor, the basic shape of the manor, basic layout. So that's how we're doing it. wasn't sure if I wanted to do like a narrating type of, like I've been doing with the other episodes, but I changed my mind. I might make 2 versions of this video where there's like no narrator, and then so you can kind of just watch the story. I think most people would be able to follow it, even if you weren't speaking through it. But I think the narration makes it a little more interesting. Now, what we didn't get on film here is right before we started rolling the tape, the oven caught on fire and Morticia got caught. She got burned. That's why there's a scourge mark on the ground there. So I didn't record. I wish I had recorded that part, but because it was kind of funny. But now, when I made these 2 characters, I took, with the 4 traits that you get per character in The Sims, I took the Myers-Briggs trait index in with the 4 functions. That's how I laid out Morticia and Gomez. I made Morticia is ISFP, that's what I made her, and then I made Gomez the opposite of that, which would be a ENTJ. And so Morticia's main attitude is she's an introversion, where Gomez is an extroversion. Their perceiving function, Morticia is sensing, where Gomez is intuitive. And their judging function, Morticia is feeling, where Gomez is thinking. And their shadow is Morticia's perception, and Gomez is judging. What that really means is, does the character go inward or outward? So in Morticia's case, when she deals with the world, it's from an internal mechanism, and she goes inward to deal with the distal environment, whereas Gomez goes outward and they're trying to bring the world to him. And so to make the Sims version of that, Morticia's essence is good, meaning she's someone who gives to others. This sort of a quality of love, whereas Gomez is more of evil, so he's more about to take one for himself. And so they're married starting off in the story here, so it works out pretty good. So they both got jobs now, so they're tired. And in the early parts of this episode, I was just getting them time balanced out, and it's very difficult navigating between 2 adults and 4 adults in a household, balancing out their time. I've gotten better at it over the last week or 2 with this game, and I've gotten better at playing the game. So and doing the layouts for the homes. And so this particular group is the first one that I made all the characters based on psychological personality index. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. So you see in the show, Morticia's always doing a lot for. I guess playing her where she's sort of supplementing and complementing Gomez to where she does as much as she can so that he only needs to focus on his main thing. So that's how I've been playing her in the game. And as the video goes on, you'll see they get on a pretty good schedule where they're offset to where one has a day off while the other one is working and so forth. And it cycles pretty well. So Morticia now towards the end of the video, she ends up with a 3-day off, and then 4 days on, 3 days off, and Gomez is on a normal Monday through Friday and has Saturday and Sundays off type of job. Works out pretty good in terms of coordinating their morning rituals. Money's been rough through this first episode. It didn't really make a whole lot of money initially, but they're pushing through. You're going to see the house slowly evolve over the next 5 hours here. Which is kind of cool. It's like the first real morning that they're coordinating together. And, see, Morticia's taking care of all the cooking issues. I have her training to be a culinary career, and he's right now in business. In the show, Gomez was a investor, financer, capital investor there. Venture capitalist, that's what he is. But it's him starting out in his business career here. Now, what makes it easy for them is they're married starting out, so they don't have to go out and try to capture somebody into a relationship. And when their fun and social sort of take a hit, they just have to make out, and then it shoots it back up to normal. The advantages of having a married couple in the game versus single people. I kind of got the idea of the Addams family from I was playing Donna Troy and Alan Scott's character, and I ended up moving Donna Troy in with Alan Scott, but they're not married. And Alan Scott's our LGBT character in the game and in the serial. But however, I had them move in together out of convenience. But at some point, we're going to break them up. But so she just got promoted to caterer. She's making 26 an hour, and her days changed. So they moved it to the middle of the week. Cause she was on a Monday through Friday, but now she's on a Thursday through Tuesday schedule. Kind of like my schedule. I've changed out our streaming schedule to a 4-day schedule. It's 4-day on, 3-day off schedule versus a 5-day, and only doing an 8-hour stream. I think that balances out our time a little better. So you have a nice 3-day period between the week, and then we can also edit videos in that time. You can edit videos taking your time doing it versus pushing a deadline. I don't like pushing deadlines. I think that puts you in a not a good place. Always in a hurry trying to get things out the door, and I don't like making videos that way. I like taking our time and getting them out when you can. If you're new to Sims 4, this may be your first time you're seeing it, you have to pace yourself out initially. You don't have a lot of money. It takes a lot to get it going, and in this case, these people are ultimately going to be wealthy, but they don't start out that way, like any marriage. Just what's the basic equipment that they need, and they're just going to have to persevere and suck it up. Now this is where things started to accelerate for these two, because the schedules just rotated in a way where it worked out to where her schedule was sort of offset from Gomez's schedule. So while she's doing like the cleaning and prepping the food, which is essentially her job in the game, and he can focus on writing and being a business person, and that sort of creates a steady stream of income. But all the stuff he's doing on the side is what's really creating his wealth and cash flow. But it just takes time to set it up. Now I made a Priscilla Rich character. That's a Wonder Woman character. She was the original Cheetah, and I'll be putting that up pretty soon. But she's a musician in the game, so she made money like right away. Just like bam, started making money. And then not everybody starts out that way in this game, especially when you only have like a sub $1,000 to do anything. You gotta pick your battles. Get a win when you can get it. On a way to get her bar set up so she can grind up her mixology. What happens in this episode is pretty interesting, because although Gomez's career is really rock solid and gradually building, her career is growing really fast. It's accelerating, and I think you'll see it through the episode here. And I think she's actually generating more money than he is. Just all her different projects she's doing. which is like in the show, Morticia. In the show, she's actually a botanist. She grows plants, man-eating plants, and takes care of children. And so I started developing her domestic abilities first, because I figured you could make a lot of money, and then all the side skills that you need to make Morticia at some point in the future will start to bring in a lot of money that she could kind of work out of the house and not have to leave. And Gomez too, at some point in the future, the both of them will be able to work out of the house and not have to leave, which is kind of typical for the Addams. Once they start getting the rest of the people in the house and the house built up, it'll accelerate pretty good. Yeah, in this episode I went through several different kind of radios, and I've been in the last few days evaluating the need for a radio. And I kind of see that that little boom box is really all you need, because you only really need one, and then you just move it from room to room when you want to move right sound there, instead of in the Alan Scott and Donna Troy household. I'd had separate speakers in different rooms, and it was kind of a mess. Especially when you have 2, 3 of them going at a time. So, and I didn't really see the difference between an expensive one and a least expensive one. They seemed to fail at the same rate. So, my short experience in this game is I don't think the expensive equipment has any better, any less rate of failure than the cheap stuff. But in this I have Morticia fixing everything, which is kind of, I think, sort of what happens in the actual, if you ever watched the Addams Family TV show, when it originally aired in 1963, it aired for 2.5 seasons. They shot 3 seasons, but the series was canceled after 2.5 seasons, so they finished out the 3rd season. But they were on the same night as Father Knows Best. If you see Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., his father, Robert Downey, was the actor he played on Father Knows Best. And then the show was built around the father character. Sort of like My Three Sons. There wasn't really a mother, and a single dad taking care of 3 boys. And in the Addams Family, they reversed that. And so everything's really built around Morticia. And she's the one that really runs the household, and everyone else is really supporting her. And so early on in these episodes, I think what we're going to see is Morticia really doing everything and helping out Gomez. But the way the 2 of them are working, though, it's pretty nice. It was rough in the very beginning, first hour or 2, but I kind of hit a stride. The music in the game is actually pretty okay, even though they speak, was it the Simonian language? I forget what it's called, but I'm gonna try to do all the voiceovers for this all 5 episodes all at the same time so that the continuity is a little bit better. Trying not to speak as much through this serial as I've been through the other ones. I kind of like starting out in the Sims like this, where you have like the bare bones. And when the neighbors came over for the welcoming meet and greet, it was kind of a disaster because the place is as bare bones as you could get. I think we shot the video of that, so it's kind of funny. Now, I couldn't find an actual dress, so I had to sort of find the right shape and texture of the dress for Morticia. And so that was it's kind of like a mermaid type of dress, but with the long sleeves. But you could only get like either the top and the bottom wasn't right, or the bottom without the top, and you couldn't mismatch. Gomez, he's upset. Remember, he's an evil guy. It's kind of true of the character. He's kind of hot-tempered, but he uses a lot of humor to mask his rage. So I try to do that with comedy. Gomez is a genius. Genius are more focused in mental pursuits, which they now she's good and he's evil, so they she makes his blood boil. So, how to compare this with the Myers-Briggs trait index is Morticia is someone who goes inward as a character, a spiritual person. They go inward. They don't really believe in boundaries, and they're creative, and they go by feel, and so they're introverted, introspective, and Gomez, on the other hand, he's more reality focused. He's a thinker. So he thinks of it and then he feels it. And so this sort of what makes him an evil person. And the two characters sort of meet halfway. And I think that's gonna make a good combination of characters. Which is kind of good if you look at the way she's styled. She's sort of black and white. And he's color. Which is opposite of their actual personalities. In the game, not in the movie or TV show. You see she's slowly acquiring skills. I think at a higher rate than Gomez. I'm gonna let this play out for a little bit. At this point, I don't really know how I want to do the narration. I'm just gonna kind of do it like we've been doing it, but as this series progresses, even through this episode, I might back off a little and just let the story play out. Leave a comment if you think I should let the characters just play out the story let it just develop on its own. Just click the buttons and be silent. Again, I'm an extemporaneous speaker. It's weird because I'm an introverted person, but I like speaking extemporaneously. And I think that's my strengths. I don't like prepared speeches. Kind of have Morticia there do all her chores, and I'm having her empty out her bladder before she goes to bed. I try to get him on a routine. Since he's the early riser, she's the later riser. She prepped all his food, so all he has to do is get up. And he doesn't have to worry about making food, right? The good wife. And that way, he just has to empty his bladder, take a shower, or take a bath in this case, and then eat. But if you're getting your people ready, 2 hours is the minimum amount of time that you need to get them out the door. And that's just on a normal routine of just a bladder, bath, shower, and then eat. And it takes about 2 hours. Sometimes you have a little 15 minutes, game 15 minutes to... You can't, it's not a whole lot of time. In real life, that's not a whole... I normally always, when I worked outside the house, I normally go to all my jobs 2 hours early. Mainly because I have ADHD, and you should always get there early. That way you're not rushing, and then that way you'll end up being all hyper on the job, which is never good. Solid painting. You're low on cash in this game. Painting is a good way to make small cash on a daily basis. Because you just have to have one or two of them go buy it whenever they get in an inspiration or mood where they have a lot of energy. Just go have them paint a picture. And then that's a few dollars here or there. Every dollar counts when you're starting out in life. There's some strange people coming over to our house. Grand Theft Auto, they call them locos. But I originally wanted to have spooky music playing, so we're trying out different, but they seem to respond better from the fanfare music there, the jazzy holiday music. Now, the game here has a tendency to sort of slow down or lock up. You have to go out to the main menu and come back in, and it tends to gravitate around when you're using the tea maker. Or Gomez, he'll just all of a sudden start flipping out. And the only way to correct him is to go back out to the main menu and come back into the world. See? How to clear that all out. So. I find the radio is a good way to get their fun up. Making Woohoo gets their fun up, and Social that skyrockets it, but he has to go to work, so we can't really do that. It's actually at the end of the day, he just got home. When she's in the kitchen or he gets home before she has time to finish, I'll have him to go dance somewhere so he's not like... The computer will like have them go raid the refrigerator and start buying stuff, and I hate that because it just wastes money, especially if you don't have a lot of money. It just wastes money on stuff that doesn't, for the amount of money you're paying, doesn't give you a whole lot for it. And like that he dances goofy, because that's how they did it in the show. Well, I'm not trying to do too much pre-planned storytelling here. I'm kind of letting the characters just kind of go on their own, and then just hopefully pressing the right buttons. How I feel like the character would act in the story. Because I'm like the director of the movie. Now, I grew up watching the Addams Family from 1971 onward, and they were big in the 70s, and that's when they did they got back together and made an episode in 77, which I always thought that was a really good episode, but not a lot of people like it. I don't know why. It was the last episode where the entire cast was there, except for the woman who played the mother, grandmama. She wasn't there. I guess she died. But they were glad they filmed that at that time, because 3 of the main characters died. Actors that played the characters had died shortly after they made that. So, including Carolyn Jones and Ted Cassidy. They all died. I think the only one still alive from the series is Loring and John Astin. John Astin played Gomez, and his son Sean Astin was in Lord of the Rings. He's kind of funny because the show opposite him, Robert Downey, his son, Robert Downey Jr., he's a big time actor now, too. They look alike. Him and his dad, they sound alike, too. The older he gets, he sounds more like his father. I think. Here's all the housewarming. Here's the housewarming. This is funny. Such an Addams family in a moment here. People are like gasping at the sight of this place. There's no like siding, there's no paneling, no wall covering. It's just concrete floor with bare walls. It's like the contractor gave up. They're like, no, that's what they ordered. One thing I like to do when a bunch of people come over is put everybody in a group. That way you don't have to keep clicking on everybody. You only have to hit a few buttons from that point forward. I'm still up in arms of what I wanted Gomez to practice being a comedian. He's not following the comedian path. I haven't really done that with that character, and I wanted to have him do it as sort of a side job. And that would help develop his charisma more. Gomez is a very charismatic guy. That's a character. One moment it's like, I hate this place. It's kind of funny. There's Morticia waking up. She's trying to get to work. All these people are standing around. Now, the hair that would have fit Morticia perfectly was too short. And this hairstyle had the right length, but it's too thick. There's too much body in the hair. So I had to ultimately decided with the one with the longest made more sense. And that's what we went with. He's upset. This woman's going off. But I tried to play it like Gomez, all friendly and polite, and he was just being funny about it. Try to see how that works out. Even though he's really angry, I try to communicate the opposite of that. She's not having it. Went to funny. I know from being a psychology major that you have to diffuse the situation. Alright, coming into the last about 10 minutes of the video here. See, Gomez is holding his cool with that woman. She just won't. She's just not having. She's like just going off. She's complaining about the place. The last dude was actually a pretty cool guy. He just hung out. One of them came back later on. She was saying, I think it's she. You'll see as the story progresses, she kind of a loner. She's an evil person, and we kind of got along, her and Gomez. And then she kind of opened up about being a loner. Kind of cool. In real life, I'm kind of like that with people. They criminal, non-criminals tend to all gravitate towards me. This guy was actually pretty cool. I liked him. He hung around, stayed for a little bit, and then went on. Didn't stay too long. That was cool. Wasn't a jerk about it. Which, some people can be jerks. Everything started like breaking down. Like all at one time, which is kind of fixtures and appliances don't break down at the high frequency that they do in this game. I don't know who programmed all that in the game, but most appliances generally last about 10 years. We have a handheld mixer that we've had since like the early 1970s. It still works. Our can opener that we had for years. It's gotta be going like 30 years. Finally broke. And then I prefer the hand can openers more than the mechanical ones, but the electric ones. But especially you have to open a lot of cans. The hand ones are usually faster. This guy turned out to be a pretty cool guy. He's an opportunity to build Gomez's charisma. Gomez, the character, would respond. Sort of how I'm playing him. He sounds like Gomez. He's got the right tone. Especially when he laughs. The evil laugh. It's kind of funny. I think the Myers-Briggs trait index is working out pretty good. Moving forward, all the characters we're going to bring in are going to be based around that. Going to play that more. That and the astrological aspects put in. When I cast the parts for our fanfiction stories, I try to put the actors and actresses that fit that astrological sign. So when you're seeing like a Sagittarius in the story, the actor is an actual Sagittarius. So you can see the similarities between Sagittarians, Aries, and Leos based on characteristics, qualities. Found a gem nearby. So. It's funny is Gomez was writing his book, and I saw some of the other characters that are in our fanfiction here were walking by the window. This is the first household I set up in Sims that isn't in the main area that they start you in. I put them because the Addams family, they were in a very good neighborhood, but they were like the house at the end of the block where all the like crazy people lived. Like a rundown mansion. So that's how we're gonna kind of style the mansion. The colors I'm gonna pick for it eventually when we decorate the place are gonna be I want it to look like a black and white building. Like everything else is in color, but the colors are gonna be sort of have that black and white feel. And then the characters will stand out a little more. I think from a style list perspective. I'm trying to his comedian thing. It stopped working for a while. I guess because he ran out of money. Or he's triggered. That or the microphone broke.
Dobie Pelzo? Zoom.
Sounds like what's his name? The Gaffigan. Forget his first name now I'm thinking about it. I only remember his last name. We're coming up on the end here. About 3 minutes. We'll be moving on into part 2 here. The first part wasn't really all that exciting, but I think if you're looking at this as a first time, maybe you're new to Sims 4, and this might be one of the first videos you're seeing where you can see it from startup, from when you start out very primitive, and then slowly over the course of this 6 hours it starts to accelerate, and then in episode 2 we're going to continue on. It's just going to start building in stages. See the mansion coming together. Main thing is to get the kitchen situated, I think. Kitchen is the heart of most homes, and that's when I was in high school. I took a vocational. The 3 curriculums that you could choose from, you had general, vocational, and then college-bound curriculum. I did the vocational curriculum, and so I took drafting and then band. So those are my primary aptitudes in high school. Was drafting, and it was divided into architectural and mechanical drafting. That was back in the 80s. I prefer drawing by hand as opposed to... I like using CAD, but I prefer drawing by hand. I think it's faster if you draw things by hand and more accurate. The computer makes clean lines, but sometimes I feel the computer makes it more complicated than it needs to be. And people that aren't really good at drawing can hide behind CAD. There's Donna. She's one of our characters. See? She's walking by. I worked on her prior to making this series. I was working on Donna and Alan Scott for several hours, but prior to that, 3 days, over a 3-4 day, I was working on Priscilla Rich's household, and she lives next door to Donna and Alan Scott. But she's primarily a musician, and she makes money really, really fast, whereas these other characters took a long time to get it in. A lot of these are lessons learned from our main serial, which was the Athenata, Hippolyta, Steve Trevor, and Etta Candy household. The Brownstone estate. So we're getting that going. It's taken a long time to come together. But getting back to the drafting stuff, laying out things functionally and designing the house. Everything's usually built around the kitchen and bathroom. So I think from a design point of view, you got to know how the bathroom's going to be situated in a place that can readily support the rooms. And if you have 2 adults utilizing a bathroom, you have to have a well-coordinated daily life, so they don't start interfering in each. So like where I have a female and male living together, I have usually the women wake up first, do all the domesticated stuff. And then I have the men doing all the supportive stuff to that. And then tends to work out well. Might be pissing off a lot of people that aren't prepared to hear that, but building a household is a combination of functionality and skill. In terms of, if you think of behavior as a skill, people have to really coordinate and be on page and execute, and then the money starts to accelerate at some point. It doesn't necessarily flood in, but while she's eating, I'm trying to build up her fun. Fastest way I found to build up fun and social, especially where you have a man and a woman living here. These are our first time you have a married couple in our serial. Where those are very easy to overcome as a married couple. One of the things with our main household in the Brownstone estate is they're in a polyamorous relationship. So anyway, we'll be carrying on part 2 at the end. We'll see you then, and come back later. A special thanks to our Patreon contributors who donate their real-world money to help out Chronicles of Earth 9. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified when all our new videos come out. Please catch us, the Addams Family, on Sims 4, and be sure to follow us at Agamemnon Games on Twitch, Saturday through Monday, from midnight to 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you there, and thanks for hanging out with us. Catch you next time.